the most admirable chasers you could possibly wish to see.
Hello and welcome to the Race Hour in association with Gambling.com and Betfred. Like everyone in racing, we want to pay our respects to Michael O'Sullivan, a fantastic jockey, a fantastic man. He'd be deeply missed, terribly sad, hard to put any words to it really. One thing that struck me this week was how well his family have conducted themselves. I just thought, credit to themselves. He's obviously a credit to them. Just one little thing I would point people in the direction of is Ken Whelan, a fellow I'd know. Ken's a great guy and he's Mikey O'Sullivan's agent, and he was on Nick Luck's podcast on Monday, and I've never met Michael O'Sullivan. I know people who know him. They all say he's a fantastic guy, and I just thought Ken gave a real good measure of the man that Michael was, and he'll be very much missed, and I think that's worth listening to. Okay, so it is difficult to go into the frivolity of betting and punting and horse racing and the game we all love and the game that ties us together, but we will do that and we'll carry on. And we have our usual annual festival favourites podcast, right? So Dermot, what do we call this? What's the name of the title? You have a catchy title, Assessing the Festival Favourites. It's the funkiest title ever of any podcast.
It's the least ever. So basically, myself and Dean once were stuck. We'd no racing on, and we decided this. And Assessing the Festival Favourites became the name, and it's kind of been stuck to it. But yeah, it's a terrible name. But look,
it's so easy to say as well. Assessing the Festival Favourites,
especially with somebody with a speech impediment like me, Cass. It's a terrible idea. But look, it is what it is.
Yeah, and we were always confused with how it ran. So we've a new slight rule. So we're treating this as a pub game this year, and you can backlay or leave the favourite, right? So the Supreme is co-back to board. Backlay or leave. Now you cannot imagine how excited Tony Keenan is for this format. This is right up his street. But we all know we get a lot of complaints about three cultures, myself, Dermo, and Tony Keenan, who's with us as always. So we said we'd add some balance and we needed a dub. And Declan Carroll from the Take a Pull podcast has joined us. So Declan, welcome.
Thanks, Cass. Thanks, lads. Really appreciate the invite and can't wait to get stuck into this now, talking about favourites all night.
Yeah. There's definitely 3 and 4 fellas that wouldn't be mad at the favourite. So we'll give it a bash. And come here, Deck. We were going to skip the notebook section, but I know you have one, and you have a tip for Punchestown Thursday, is it?
That's right. Yeah. Look, I suppose I was at Old Town Point to Point on Saturday, and Dennis Murphy had the winner of the 4-year-old maiden in the Jet of Stars. Now look, JP had 4 in it. One of them was well fancied. We don't know how good any of these are, but look, it's one for the notebook going forward. The horse won impressively. I'd imagine it's going to the sales at Cheltenham in a few weeks, so one to put into the trackers. But Punchestown Thursday, the 4:25 handicap hurdle over 2 miles 7. There's a mare I've been waiting on to run, Misty Milan. She's rated 90. She made her handicap debut last April before she had a breakdown. Then she ran her second handicap last month at Clonmel. She travelled like the winner, just didn't get home, blew up. I kind of expected that having been off for quite a while, but I'd say she's going to be ready now to win on Thursday. The form's worked out a little bit. Mount Shenshen has come out and won at Gowran on Saturday, so I'd say she'll only be single figures now, but I'd be pretty confident with this one.
Yeah, fair play. Now you've tuned in here to listen to festival favourites, and we've not 105 or something, a 90 rated horse. Yeah, Declan Carroll is to 0 to 95s over hurdles, what Naomi Campbell was to 1990s catwalks. Yeah. But look, let's launch into this. Back, lay or leave. Tony, we'll come to you. Supreme, Kopek to board, mightily impressive at Leopardstown. Are you back, lay or leave?
Back on sufferance. I cannot believe you friggin' harassed me into talking about laying horses here tonight, Cass. Like, there is no such thing as a friggin' recreational layer. Like what percentage of your bets are actually going to be lays? I'm trying to make this up. I reckon maybe 1 out of 1,000 is actually a lay. And what percentage of stuff is laid on? For me, yeah, 1 out of 1,000, if even that. I know you do a little bit more of it, but what?
I do maybe. I was thinking about this actually. So Tony's going to come at me now with all this lay stuff, right? But I'd say I'd lay about 1 in every 20 bets. But like a bet is a bet. Like and do you know what the beauty of laying a horse, especially once you're sitting down, you're watching Dundalk on a Friday evening, something's even money or 5-4 in a maiden, and you're 3 or 4 running for you, or 2 or 3, whatever. So you're backing all of them in a way by laying the thing. I don't get why you're against recreational lays. If a price is a price, you back prices, you don't back horses. That's the way I was always reared. So if you're laying a horse, you're just backing the price and you're backing the field. That's kind of my view on it.
Yeah, I just find the whole concept mad, like, and even the way the exchange is marketed, like it's me against you and all this type of stuff. It's just not, like it's whatever percentage of the lads that are having bets or punters, like, and well, what is it? What do you reckon? What percentage of stuff that's laid on Betfair's market makers versus Joe Public, like?
Oh, I'd love to know.
99.5%.
I'd love to know, and
like,
I'd love to know.
I don't know. I just find. Yeah, I find the whole thing about laying. I just don't think like this at all, right? I found the horse I think is too short. I want to bet something against it, and I don't want. There's probably, let's say you want to back the third favourite. I don't really want the fourth favourite running for me either. I'll just back the third favourite. That would be my approach to any. But I won't go on. That's a discussion for another night. If I can only have one option in the Supreme, I would back Kopek the boards.
Yeah, Declan Carroll. What about you?
Yeah, I would be a backer. Like there's probably a couple down the field that if I got some nice prices on the day, William Money turned up, Kiss Will, maybe I might be tempted to play them on the day. But for this exercise tonight, and haven't filled up the accumulator, yeah. No, look, he was so impressive, wasn't he, at Leopardstown? And it's kind of like, when he won his maiden there at Leopardstown, it like I could just had this picture of Willie going, Jesus, we might skill him now, Jackie. He's a bit of ability, and he was a different animal now at the Dublin Racing Festival. So, the others will have to improve on what we've seen so far. He'd be, hard to beat, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's basically you're pricing him on boiling over in a way. His talent just looks unbelievable, and you Willie and Paul Townend in the first. He's going to be very hard to beat, Diarmuid, isn't he?
Yeah, I was watching the Irish Racing Cheltenham preview actually during the week, and Paddy Flood was on it, and Paddy Flood reckoned that he thinks Patrick Mullins just didn't get on well with the horse the first time out, and that the last time with Paul Townend he just jumped a lot better. Now that's like a rag to a bull there now with Cass, but but that could well be logical. Look, I would definitely not be laying him, and I probably wouldn't be leaving him either. He's a very good horse. So a race that looked very competitive, like this race was 9-1 the field at Christmas time, and it's completely fallen apart, which is absolutely mental. So yeah, look, he wins, Cass.
Yeah, look, and we will talk about bigger price horses that we fancy in the coming weeks. But look, for the purpose of this, we're 1 from 1 with Kopek to board. Dermo, we stay with you. Magsburg the Arkle, you've been keen on him all year. Just 4-7. He's getting very short now. He's nearly 4-5 in the exchange. He'd probably be bigger on the day, I'd imagine, than 4-7. But 4-7, would you be backing laying or leaving him?
As far as an Aka concerned, I'd definitely be backing him. As far as the ceiling of ability, I don't think any horse in this field has anything near him. He's an absolute superstar. So definitely backing him, but I can see your point about 4-7. He all of a sudden, those kind of slight issues at Leopardstown do make 4-7 look quite short, but still, look, from the point of view of an Aka, yeah, he'd win,
Yeah, Tony, I know you're on him already at bigger prices, so you're kind of in the Magsburg camp, I suppose. We could give it a tick in that respect.
Yeah, I'll give him a tick too. I suppose this is the game nowadays with anti-post betting to a large degree. You're trying to land on these ones a month, 2-3 months ahead of time. To me, if you're not on at this stage, are you betting them singly? I'm not anyway, but yeah, he'd definitely be taking the box. And the race has started to cut up. I think a few of the potential dangerous ones, even from his own yard, Mr. Gift coming out, we wouldn't want to be given a life to. But yeah, it's cut up. And I think this, the second best horse in the race might be something like Touch Me Not, but the way he's going to be ridden, he's probably going to set it up for Magsburg again, maybe give him a bit more of a lead to the Leopards.
Yeah, Declan Carroll, you'd probably go fishy to be fair, but the Masborough has been hugely impressive.
Yeah, I think he's a freak, to be honest, and I'd have been taking on Sergino with him. I think there was too much made of his jumping at Leopardstown. He landed running. Like, he was just, I think he made a mistake and learned his lesson and just put down at the next two. But once he clocked the ditch, like, he was good at that. And I don't think, like, people are talking about, but I don't think he ever looked like falling at Leopardstown. And I'd say he's a clever horse, and they talk about his power when he's jumping. And, you know, they don't often get as bullish in that yard as they do, you know, the way he had done about this fella. And they talked about him a long time. So, yeah, I think he goes and wins easy.
100% agree. I think the jumping mistakes he made, I made this point before, they were all different kind of mistakes. So you just be hoping he'd be learning. It was only a second start over fences. Like you say, landed run, and he's extremely quick away from the obstacles. It's going to take some horse to overturn him or a jumping error. But jumping errors aren't 4 to 7 shots. That are 7 to 4 shots. You know, they're much bigger than that to take a horse down. So Masborough is in. 2 from 2, who'd have thought it? And could we go 3 from 3, Declan Carroll? Constitution Hill, he's a wonderful horse. Have you thought he's looked... you know, is he up near the ceiling of his ability this year in the 2 runs at Kempton and Cheltenham?
I would be worried he might be crocked, and Stateman might be crocked as well. And, you know, we've seen Cotto Star have a wonderful season and come into the Gold Cup and be pulled up. Istabrack done the same. There's nothing like Cheltenham for breaking horses when there's any chink in the armour. And I like, at the prices, I just couldn't be backing them. Because it's the whole occasion, the pre-parade ring, the parade ring, getting to the start, the gallop they go. If there's any sort of injury in there at all, the champion hurdle will find it out. So I'd be taking them on.
Yeah, well, to balance things up now with him, I you know, realistically, I'm not going to be backing him 4 to 7, but for the sake of Backley or leaving, I'm going to pick one horse in the race. I think he's going to win the champion hurdle. I thought he looked every bit as good as ever at Kempton. He was going to put up an impressive performance. Clattered the last Cheltenham, came back on the snaff. He's going to run to, you know, mid 170s, I'd say. So it's going to take a fair one to beat him. Diarmuid, Backley or leave Constitution Hill for you at sort of 4 to 7, 8 to 13?
Until Brighter Days Ahead started shortening, I definitely would have been back here, but she's very good. I watched back the run at Christmas time. She's excellent. So I think she could run to 168, 169, and getting the weight would mean that, you know, she could make that up there. So I would be leaving Constitution Hill.
Okay. So that kind of knocks him out, Tony. So you don't have to make a decision. And Diarmuid, I will stay with you. National Hunt Chase, you've now as the hour in here. I've no idea. Like, we don't even have the weights or answer for this rate, Diarmuid. It's meant to be the grade ones. What's this about?
It was knowing how contrary all of us were before we agreed.
I'm not
to
sure
add
I've
in
even heard of this horse, but go on, yeah.
Declan Carroll. We've mentioned him. Tony and I have mentioned him now about 3 times. Tony had a big thing about him. But it was to try and find a balancing point here. But then when I put that in, Tony wrote back, no, price is gone. So that was another one that you can just knock out of the park.
Okay,
anyway.
So
contrary bunch this year.
Just on that race, I was surprised to see that there were 45 horses entered for it today. Now, I think a number of them have not actually qualified yet. And the 4 days to qualify between now and Sunday. So it might seem like an awful lot of horses, but how many of them are actually really qualified? But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised at the number that made the initial entry anyway.
An awful lot, Tony. Sorry, Kath.
Sorry, and anything catch your eye, Tony? Just did you think, I'd forgotten about him as a summer jumper or anything, and you said he could be interested, or just
Pat's
fancy? Not from the Irish scene, Stephen, because not from the Irish, because I think the very few handful of horses from Ireland that were going to qualify were fairly obvious, because there just weren't that many races. Now, maybe from England, the likes of Transmission and that would be kind of a horse to be you know, well suited to Cheltenham and well suited to the extended distance, but I would say he's quite a worthy favourite now. Whether you want me back from 7 to 2, you can't see, and he can't go an awful lot shorter with that number of horses entered. It has to be others that are going to move in the market. I would say.
Yeah. I thought maybe Highland, if he runs this week, I think at Kempton he's qualified and good stay in English horse. You know, maybe you should be looking at the English for this one. Right, so the Turners, Tony, we stay with you. Final Demand, very impressive at Leopardstown. He started about 15 to 8. It's a strong looking race, the Turners, but he's a big-ish price for a Willie Mullins hot pot.
He is, yeah. I'm going to go against him now. Lay or oppose, whatever you prefer here. I'm not just sure the demands of the race can suit him. If it comes up soft or soft to heavy now, this is a different conversation. But I'm assuming somewhat decent ground, and I would like to take him on with something that is a bit more speed. And I'd say the obvious alternative is the second favourite, the New Lion, who looks to have a lot of speed. So I think if it's a decent ground, Turners, I'd be with the New Lion ahead of Final Demand.
Very interesting. An English shout from Tony. That's interesting. And Declan Carroll, what about you and the Turners?
No, I'd be a backer. I thought he looked a bit different now at Limerick, and I think the two behind him have followed up since. And then he was so impressive at the Dublin Racing Festival. I think he could run in any of the novice hurdle races and have a good go at them. So I'd be on side with him.
It's an interesting thing. Everyone always says you need loads of speed for this race, Dick, don't they? And I think it's the biggest load of shite in racing that you need a 2 mile. Like if you look back at the winners, right, to start from the last one, Ballyburn Stair and Perry Pass, he's definitely not a 2 miler. Sir Gerhard not a 2 miler. Bob Ollinger not a 2 miler. On Violin not a 2 miler. City Island, can't remember, never heard of him. Sam Crow probably not a 2 miler. Willoughby Court, can't remember. York Hill 3 miler. Windsor Park, definitely not a 2 miler. Faugheen, definitely, well, yeah, Faugheen, we'll give you that one. The new one, we'll give you that one. Simon Sig, First Lieutenant, Stairs again. So you probably have 2 of the last 20 have actually been 2 milers. Biggest load of shite in race, and you're going to hear it all over the preview circuit now. You need a speed horse, champion hurdle horse to win this race. Load of rubbish. Final Demand fits that kind of steer mold that seems to be winning this race, Dermo. Would you be with him or in the New Line camp like Tony?
I'd be in the New Line camp as well, actually. My issue with the DRF is once Super Sunday had pulled the head off himself, I don't think there was anything else in the race of that calibre to actually challenge him. I think the like some Mozzie's sister, she's a 3 mile plus horse. Like she'll be running that National Hunt Chase next season. So I do think that the form has a big question mark. He's looked absolutely unbelievable, and to the bare eye, but Final Demand, for me, the form at Limerick looks decent, but not at this level. While at Leopardstown, I think that's not very good form. He looked really good, but still, I think other horses have looked as good. And I do think that while you don't have to be a quick 2 miler, a bit of speed, though, doesn't do any harm at all. And if this does develop into a bit of a slower run race, I think he's vulnerable to a horse like the New Line. And I would definitely be with the latter there, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought the New Line was awesome at Newbury. You know, if you're giving me 3-1 versus 15-8 just to make it back to 1, I'd probably go back the New Line as well. He just looks such a talented horse. So 3 votes for the New Lion, actually. So he's going to go in the ACA, more so because Dermot's pressuring us into having more than 200 in it. But
a bit responsible. Yeah, please. A bit responsible, please.
Yeah.
Don't let Diarmuid hassle you with the bets. Go on,
no, we're only being pressured into having a thing at the end, and we'd recommend none of you to actually do the best. That would probably be it. But Declan Carroll, the next one of the grade ones is the Brown Advisory, and it's an open-looking one. Ballyburn is favourite, and he might have a class edge here.
Yeah, look, when he went up in trip, he was very, very good at Leopardstown, and he just ran away from Crow Park's horse I really, really like. But I've been very, very impressed with Lecky Watson. I've been at the race course when he's won twice this year, so I think he's massively improved, and even coming back to 2.5 miles, which is something he didn't look like he did when he was a hurdler. I think he could trouble him, so I'd be a layer at Ballyburn.
Yeah, very interesting. Dermo, what about you with Ballyburn?
I'm very much on the fence. At this current moment in time, I would be leaving him. Now, this is massively likely to change even by next week, but at the moment, I would be leaving him and I would be taking an each-way position elsewhere. As good as he looked last time, it's just not a tremendous... I don't know, the whole thing doesn't look ideal to be trained as a speed horse, then to come back at Leopardstown. He jumped slow enough at Leopardstown as well. Again, like, he beat Crow Park, but that's a very busy Crow Park as well. And Crow Park wasn't beaten all that far. Like, I heard Gordon Elliott afterwards saying that he nearly regretted not running Better Days Ahead after he saw how close Crow Park got to him. So that form of Crow Park and stuff. So he's very good. He's a brilliant racehorse. He's full of class, but over 3 miles at Cheltenham. His jumping's a bit slow. I would be, at this current moment, I will be leaving him definitely.
Yeah, I'd be leaving him as well. Worried about the slow jumping. I think there's a bit of depth in this race. You know, when you have Dancing City, Better Than Crow Park, Stellar Story, Lecker Watson, all decent horses on their day. Tony, we skipped over you twice, Tony, at the end of these things, but we'll skip over you again because we're kind of on three lanes. But we'll start with you, Tony, with the Queen Mother and the pride of England, John Bond, Nicky's darling. He deserves to win one, they tell us.
Well, he wins a lot of races, in fairness. He wins every time he races away from Cheltenham. I leave on this neutral list. I've started going through a few of these Cheltenham races properly in full in the last few days. I've gone through this Gold Cup, 3 mile novice chase, and do you know what? I'm just coming up with nothing. I think they're priced largely right. I have no strong opinion on this beyond that. I don't think, unless it comes up heavy, Gaelic Warriors a terrible second favourite. There are holes in a lot of the rest of them. I think it's a big ground race where there's a whole host of good ground horses, there's a whole host of soft ground horses. But he'd be at the moment it would be a total race to leave alone for me, and he'd be just part of that.
And when you were looking at it, Tony, the shape of the race is going to be very important for this. We've talked about this. Is there any indication of where Ile Francais will go? Or they're still in between, aren't they? He could go either way.
Both of them are leaning towards this race, but the kind of rubbish in the Ryanair is kind of a second-class race that they wanted something with a bit of prestige. I think they were inclined to run in this race, and obviously between himself and Solness and Matata, they all like to get on with it. Extremely get on with it is kind of the term there. So hard to see anything other than a very strong pace for this, and that has kind of produced, as has been the case in champion chases over years, the odd mad result, because the jumping is so much on the pressure with the pace they're going. So maybe that's another argument to throw in why you could take on John Bond. There will be a bit of chaos potential in this one.
Yeah, that's going to blow it wide open in a way. You know, John Bond's jumping, which has been poor Cheltenham, really has to stand up to it. If it's 3 nose going lickety split around the old course. Sorry, that's you, Deck.
Oh, sorry. Look, I'd be taking him on with his record there. And look, I'm very, very keen on Solness. I know I talk Captain Guinness up a lot, but, you know, we were saying on top that Solness will become a grade 1 open chaser, and he definitely has now. He's won 2. Like, 2 mile 1 at Leopardstown, but he was going the 1 mile 7 pace. Nothing could lay up with him. He hit the line well. He's only 7. Like, this horse won a handicap chase at Fairyhouse and Hatton's Grace weekend as a 5-year-old. The ability's always been there, and he's just getting better and better. He's improving at racing, and like, even if the French horse runs in here, he's a 3 miler. He won't be able to go to gallop, and he won't be able to quicken off that gallop the way Solness can. So, you know, even just talking about him here now, I'm beginning to think he's a good thing.
Yeah, someone was saying Solness was doing 35 miles an hour. You don't often see 35 miles an hour in racing Dermo. Like, if he can keep that gallop up, geez, it's gonna be some watch anyway. Like, it might be the deepest quality Queen Mother, but it's the one race at the festival I think you really want to watch spectacle wise.
Yeah, and horses on the old course can just skip away from him too. This has happened, and Solness, like, I've never backed Solness before in my life, but he like, it's just, last time was a serious performance. At speed, they couldn't lie up with him at all, and the fact that he was able to kind of, he kicked again afterwards, like a monstrous performance. And despite that, all I keep hearing is you can't take on John Bond because what beats him? First of all, Solness, he's more than good enough. But secondly, John Bond has found ways at Cheltenham to lose to, like, the likes of Elixir the Nuts. Like, he's lost to him at Cheltenham. Like, it's he's managed to find ways at this course to lose the horses that are nowhere near a Solness or nowhere near a Captain Guinness even. He doesn't really like the place, and he's a very good horse. He should be winning a race like this, but this whole thing of a horse, he deserves to win one. No one deserves anything. Nobody's earned, like, there is no such thing as a Cheltenham race that you should win. Solness has some prep, like, to go from flopping in the Galway plate now to here now is like some going over 10 months. He's some horse. So yeah, I'd be very, very pro Somnus, and I would be keen on laying John.
Well, I tell you another joy of laying Tony Keenan, right? If you lay John Bond, you're the whole of the UK against you. You're taking on Nicky. I actually love Nicky now, right?
I love Nicky as well. I love Nicky
Anderson. To see Nicky win it. You're taking on the green and gold, who, you know, you've your own views and they might have my own views on that outfit, shall we say. And you're taking on a walk in the park. And the joy in laying there, Tony. I mean, just take some pleasure in life, Tony. Hit the pink button.
Yeah.
Hit the pink button, Tony.
Right. Very good, Stephen. 10 out of 10 for that response. 10 out of 10.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah,
And
take the pleasure out of
I tell you
life.
as well, another joy is going in with your mates. I'm Declan, never met him. He's my friend now, so I'm back at Declan. And another thing with betting as well, it'd sick of me if Diarmuid were back to 10-1 winner, and I just have to have a few quid on it as well, just so I couldn't be looking at his smug head if I hadn't backed it. So I'm with Solness as well now, which I wanted at the start of the podcast, right? So we've 3 for Solness, so he's in the accumulator because we needed one to bump up the price, right? So Solness is in. We're going on to the bumper, and Tony, you were the man that was waxing lyrical about Copacabana. I'm very impressed with Nav that day, in fairness. He's sort of 4-1, is he, thereabouts? At the moment now, in fairness, he's shortened Tony since we talked about him. So are you now back lay or leave with Copacabana?
I just leave him, Stephen. So he's half the price from this time last week. Can't get with him now. Should have done something with him when he was 8 or 9-1 there straight after the race. I suppose it's the market was crying out for something from Mullins to jump to the top of the bet, even though he's at such I suppose I won't call it a bad year with bumpers, just hasn't had many runners in bumpers. So something had to shoot to the top of it there. I would come back to the belief that Elliott has not dominated the bumpers, won a hell of a lot more bumpers than Mullins this season, and does have interesting runners. I was impressed with Calypso Chance at Nav, and I thought Patrick Mullins gave him a good education that day actually, and has the horse that was placed in it last year going back for it. So no, he'd be a lead for me at the moment. And then of course you do actually need to see the entries for this race. We're still guessing a little bit at what exactly is going to pitch up. They haven't come out yet.
Yeah, it's nearly a year. You got to get a UK winner of the bumper this year. Dick, I listened to Tap. I'm not sure. Are you into the bumpers? I don't recall much bumper chat. Is it something you follow?
Not often, but when I do have an opinion on it, we tend to go close. Look, the form of Copacabana does look strong, but I was very impressed with Bambino Fever. And I go back to the race at Punchestown on New Year's Eve. The third Champagne Venture was clear second on Saturday, bumped into one. How they let that thing, Aqua Force, I think, go off at 20-1. Absolute machine. I'd love to know where she's going. Trained by Mr. M.A. Gunn. But I'd fancy Bambino Fever here in this, so I would be laying Copacabana.
Okay, so we've kind of a leave and a lay. So we'll move on. He's not going to make the ACA anyway. And Diarmuid, we'll get your thoughts on the bumper when we're getting closer to time with our Cheltenham previews. So we're moving on to the Mares Novice, and Diarmuid, Cities, we're going to you then. We've Maureen. She is short-ish in the Mares Novice. Did you like her on debut?
She was fine. She was absolutely fine. That was about it, I thought. She was kind of wooden enough now over hurdles. I thought she landed very kind of four-legged. She's had 2 starts. She's going into a Mares Novice hurdle. She hasn't set the world on fire. Bar that bumper was very good, but it's questionable enough at all kind of form too, as in it's not the deepest of contest. Obviously it was a bumper, but overall I think this race has actually turned out to be very deep now. There's a good lot of very good mares. The UK have a good few very good mares now as well. So at the prices, Cass, I would probably not only be a lay, I'd nearly be a place lay as well, because I just think with a horse who's this inexperienced, there is the propensity for an awful lot to kind of go wrong here, because those UK horses like Medicina, Diva Luna, the Nichols mare Alpha,
Jubilee Alpha.
Jubilee Alpha, sorry. They've all taken in a festival. You know, they were all at Aintree Festival, and I kind of have that experience behind them. Even a Baby Kate does as well. A lot of she's had 2 starts now. I'd be dead against her now. Really, really against her. She is an awful price, woeful price.
I'd be against her as well. Jubilee Alpha, you touched on there. I think the two of the top four behind her at the Windsor have
yeah.
won since Bluey and Honky Tonky Tutti Fruity or whatever it was, one the other day as well. So yeah, the form looks very strong. She's very good at the line. Jubilee Alpha, so she'd be one to be interested in. Dec, we'll just get your thoughts on the Mares Novice in case you fancied anything while we have you on then.
Yeah, look, I think trainers are missing a trick with this race, because you can be running your 4-year-old filly in here and potentially getting £10. And I'm just looking at Galileo Damon here. Like, she was second in the grade 1 at the DRF. She was second to Wenrock before that on jumping debut. £10, a lot of weight now to be given quite a good mare like that. And like Maureen, she's ran twice, so I'd definitely be taking her on. Yeah, I just think trainers could be thinking outside the box a little bit more and at least giving the 4-year-old fillies the entry in here.
I 100% agree. And to be honest, I think they will. When you've Kevin Blake and Joseph Ryan sit down to look at this, you know, you go into a Triumph with 3 really good horses in it, with Hello Neighbour, Lulamba and East India Dock. Or you could probably have the best piece of form arguably in the race from Galileo Dame, and you're getting £10. And you're going to try and thinking, oh, if we're still there next year. Still there next year to win what? To win a Mares Novice Hurdle. So why don't you go and win it this year when you get £10? You know, she's rated 96 or something. But there is money for her now. It's more like I actually did a double on her and Hello Neighbour, related double the other day. So paid about 120 to 1. Still does. But there's a little bit of money for her now, and she's strengthened on the exchange. So Galileo Dame for Dec in the Mares Novice, I think is a very, very good angle. She could be, you know, I think 6.5 probably be favoured on the Dame, but Galileo Dame could be close enough to favourite getting the £10. So definitely not running no bet. She's an interesting one. Tony, we haven't heard from you in a few minutes, so the Ryanair is next on our list, and Factor File looks to be going this way. Looking at the exchange. Sorry, Tony.
Just let me say something about that down run there for a minute. I think with Galileo Dame and I think Only Be Night is a fair comparison. They can stick to the mares only company if they want, but the other 2 races are grade 1s, and in some ways it can be worth more to get a grade 1 black type than nearly to win a grade 2. You know, you're not. It's winning the race is not always the only show in town, and it's definitely not the only show in town with the Joseph Ryan operation. Getting the black type for the mares.
He said that, Tony. Actually, he said it at the races.
Yeah,
he said exactly that. Yeah.
I'm not saying that's necessarily as a punter. You just need to kind of bear that in mind. I think the key number with Maureen is 46, and that's the number of entries that are in this race. You have a lot running for you, and this is my only opinion on this would be that I would want something with experience, because it's almost tends to be like a mini county hurdle, because you get the 22 runners or whatever it is. A lot of them are inexperienced. Something that has a bit more nous than something that has only run once in 14 months or whatever she is. Not ideal, I would say. And very good mares like Dino Blue and Magical Zoe have got beaten in this. You know, it's definitely not one of these where the cream always rises to the top. Quite the opposite, in fact.
Yeah, I think even Eglantine Desai had more, you know, she had more experience race-wise than Maureen, you know, and she had barely ran at all. So, yeah, Tony, while we're with you, so Factor File in the Ryanair.
Yeah, I have no opinion in this race at all, so leave.
Yeah, I kind of haven't even thought about this race either. So leave as well. So we might just roll straight onto the stairs. And Declan Carroll Tiupo's been the favourite all winter, and you'd imagine Gordon will have him cherry ripe on the day. Would you be looking to take him on, or are you kind of happy to trust in Gordon?
No, I'd be taking him on. I kind of had in my head, but before I looked at the race for tonight, that, you know, he was the English driver type. He might just go and win, outstay everything. But when I look back at his form, I'd always start to question that. And, you know, Declan Quealy's been flying. He has Rocky's Diamond in here, 5-year-old. He was green and keen the last day in the Galmoy. Still won. He Franciscan Rock, who's now learned to stay 3 miles, couldn't get it last year. I think the 2 of them could have a good go at him. I think Tiupo could be in trouble. Could be, you know, it's probably a tougher race than it was last year.
Yeah, Rocky Diamond, Dungarvan trained, Dungarvan owned. There's actually David Kiley, a fella who used to coach me in GAA. owns him, and geez, what a lucky owner now at the moment. Like, now in fairness, the fella's been sporting the game with years. But he has Rocky's Diamond and he has Rocky's Howie as well going for the Fox Hunters. So he's actually 2 chances going to Cheltenham, and he would have paid small money for these now, buying them starting out. So good luck to David Kiley going to Cheltenham with 2 live chances. Dermo, just while we're talking about the stairs, like Tiupu, he's 10 to 11 with Betfred. It does seem very short.
It's crazy short, especially considering it's an awful prep this year now. Like, this is an awful prep. He was beaten by Lossiemouth out of the way. I thought they might kind of run a Christmas after losing. Gordon Elliott is an absolutely monstrous trainer. He's superb, especially with this type of horse. But he's going in very fresh off the back of a bad performance. Regardless of kind of what Lossiemouth did to him that day, it was still a poor performance. He's coming in here now to a much deeper race. Home by the Lee, as Tony flagged up first time out this season, he just looks a much sweeter horse. And I heard JJ Slevin during the week saying that as well, that basically the horse came back in after the summer, just completely different animal. Like, he just copped on. You then have loads of horses here. Like, I think Lucky Place, I love Nicky Henderson as well. And the way he was talking about Lucky Place yesterday was really kind of made me happy there, because he spoke about him like he was a serious animal and that he had a serious chance. He's 6 years old as well. This is a very good race. Tiupu has a deeper challenge coming in off an awful prep, I would say, Cass. He's the definition of a lay now. Definition of it.
Ground as well. Like, he's odds on there. Like, it was, everything came up from last year.
Everything came up last year. Yeah.
And do you know what the ground? We were talking about the ground last week and talking about how everything's a month ahead and it's dry already, and we're getting a load of rain in Ireland this week. So I said, I'll have a look at Cheltenham. They're not getting tons of rain now. Sure, look, we're miles out. They could get a deluge the week of course, but there isn't tons of rain around Cheltenham this week, next week either. It's quite cold. It's the only thing. It won't be drying out the ground too much. But look, you definitely could have good ground. And if Tube was ever ran with good in it, he's been beaten 33 lengths, 25 lengths, and in fairness, he won good run. A good to yield him behind Taskell Dream, but he finished 4th. Never even been in the places with good in the description. So yeah, we'll be hitting the pink button there again on Tiupu. The Triumph Hurdle, Dermo, will stick with you. Big Nicky Henderson fan as you are. Lulamba, he could run this weekend in the Adonis, so he's the favourite at the moment. Would you be looking to back him?
I'd be looking to leave him. Not massively against him. I thought he was very good last time. He actually looked seriously kind of mature last time. I thought he just kind of kicked for home, did what he had to do. But again, as you've alluded to, as I've heard Frank Hickey allude to as well, this is a much deeper race than it's being kind of made out to be. It's not just about those kind of front 3 English horses, or front 2 English horses even. The Irish form is starting to look a little bit stronger. I do think the English 4-year-olds might just be a little bit better at the top of this, but East India Doc was very impressive as well. There's enough kind of running against him here that I would be happy to kind of swerve him.
Yeah, and anyone, he's 7-4 at the moment. Before the Adonis at the weekend, anyone who knows me that I know on Twitter and trust or whatever, you can have as much as you want on at 7-4, no problem. This horse, even if he wins the Adonis, I think he could be 3rd favourite on the day. I think the East India Doc will be the British one. The Irish will come for Hello Neighbour. Lulamba's done nothing yet, so we'll see about him. But lay for me as well. Dick, because we won't hear from you too often, but it's a really interesting market at Triumph. So we were watching Art Connor came up on X yesterday. What a joy to watch. It's always a great race, and what I love, it's always a great betting race because they're new.
Yeah. Look, and there's so much potential in a lot of them, and I don't know enough about Lulamba, to be honest. So I would be taking him on. I was at Nice when Charles won and he beat Holy See. I thought it was very, very impressive. I think he's going to come on for that, and I think the new course will really suit him. He's by Churchill, and the Churchills love to jump as well. So, if you were asking me to pick one now, there's a bit of value there, I think. But I don't know enough about Lulamba, so I'd have to take him on.
33 to 1 about Charles, 20 to 1 with our sponsor Betfred, and a big price I'd say on the exchange there, Charles for Willie Mullins. He's the one. Is he the Echoes and Rain colours, the green and red? Is that one, Dick?
Are they not? Do they not only buy theirs?
They don't own him, but it's similar colours. But that's not who owns. It's a new syndicate who owns Charles.
Townend spoke really highly of him in the interview afterwards, so he could be an interesting outsider. And we've seen Willie win this race with outsiders a couple of times in recent memory. He won last year with not his first string. And there was the Mayor final victory, wasn't that the name of it as well? One lately. So that could happen. Tony, the Albert Bartlett, a horse you like, the Yellow Clay, but I suppose we don't really know which race he's going to go for at the moment, unless you kind of got to steer that in recent days.
I haven't got a steer, but I have an opinion that he will go here. More so to do with the shape of Gordon Elliott's team than anything else. Elliott has a lot of horses in novice races. You know, they're going there with place chances and bits of chances. Romeo, Coolio, lots of horses there in the Brown Advisory. You know, they could run well and finish second or third. I think they might like to go to a race where they kind of have a favourite chance, rather than running this lad in the Turners. Well, what is he going to be, the third favourite? And coming up against the cut above the Irish 2.5 milers. Well, maybe he could win the mixed flat and the cut above the English 2.5 milers in the New Lion. I think they might just up sticks and say, no, we'll go for this race. We think our horse will stay a bit further, which I think he will. Owners have a little bit of, I suppose, negative history in the race that they'd like to maybe rewrite that with Ginto stuff. And also the fact that Mullins does not seem to have anything related to a standout horse for this race. Like, he has options there with the Jasmine DeVos and the Argento Boys and Fishery Lanes of the world, but none of them are stars. So I think Elliott horse might just pitch up here and they'll say, we'll go for this with a favourite chance. I know it can be a little bit of a chaotic race and things like that, but this is where they might pitch up. Now, does that make the current, what is he, 3-1?
3-1, yeah.
Well, I think he's going to go. I think he'll SP it shorter than that. If he has to SP it shorter than that, because he's a standout Irish Grade 1 horse, unbeaten novice hurdler with course form. Now, is 3-1 enough to tempt you in, but a horse is going to SP at 7-4? I don't know. I think I still might want to be with a something at a mad price in it, because that's the type of race that it is. But I would be expecting him to run here, and I'd be expecting him to shorten. So that's kind of where I'm at with the race. So I'll probably neutral on him, but that's what I'm expecting him to do.
In the context of the game, you know, we're in the pub, Tony. It's back lay or leave. I think that's a strong back. I'm taking that, Tony. Well done. Hard hitting back there for Tony on the Yellow Clay. And you made such a good case that I'm going to go in behind it. I think you're dead right. I think you go off 7-4. And it's all non runner no bet, Tony. So don't worry about putting money in the NACA at that price if you think he's going to shorten. I don't think it's a bad thing to do necessarily. Gamble responsibly. Diarmuid Nolan, the Yellow Clay, 3-1 for the Albert Bartlett.
We're going off script now, Cass, because I'm now back after that from Tony.
That's what you want.
I was completely lay off. I was leave, but yeah, it's a race that's kind of begging out for somebody. I have wondered as well over the last few days whether Willie regrets pigeonholing Final Demand here, because he'd have Cowabunga in the 2.5 mile as well. You know, as in he could have spread himself a bit better here, but he really just. He doesn't like the race anymore. But anyway, no, I'd be a backer here as well, actually, Cassia.
That was convincing, Dick. It was kind of a Gerlach nan. We're going to do it kind of a speech there from Tony. We're all aboard Yellow Clay.
I'm not, but it's purely only because I really like one other one in the race, and it's from the same yard. It's like the Yellow Clay is ticking a lot of the boxes. He's a lot of experience, far from far over hurdles, but I'm just so keen on Ballybow for this. I don't think he could have been any more impressive at Clonmel in a 3-runner race, which was basically a match where they crawled and it turned into a bit of a sprint, but he was just always in control, and I think a truer run race is going to be even better. So unfortunately, I'm a layer of the Yellow Clay.
Okay. And Tony, to be fair to you, you actually said leave. So two of us have said back, but we'll give you the cast and vote now because we're kind of on board and you made a good case.
Yeah, go on, sorry. I think he's going to shorten anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. He's going to shorten. That's a very good case you made. So we'll go with him. And then we're on to the Gold Cup and Galopin Des Champs. I actually don't know what price he is at the moment. He's probably about 4 to 6 or thereabouts. I kind of a theory, God, if you got soft ground. You know.
No, Cass, sorry. Cass. Actually, you put up during the week on our WhatsApp group that you are massively against him. Can you explain why you are so against Galopin Des Champs for a Gold Cup that is starting to fall apart?
Well, I was about to explain. I think he's going to be 2 to 5, and he already is 2 to 5 in places. So I will happily back Anton 24 fences in a Gold Cup around Cheltenham. Like he's an economical jumper. He's not a brilliant jumper now, but he's very economical. But in his novice days, he made loads of mistakes. He's loads of miles on the clock. He had everything his own way at Leopardstown, got it soft. I think he's the most likely to win the race, but I tell you what, on good ground, I think Banbridge will give him some rattle. I think Banbridge will stay that trip, no problem. I'm hoping the ground and the weather stay the way they're going and we get good ground, because I think Banbridge will have a right chance. And look, it's a Gold Cup. It's just hard to win 3 of them. I'll take 5-2 at field. I'll hit the pink button and have them all, the rest of them running for me. So that's why I'd be dead against him. He isn't Arkle. So if he's 1-3 on the day or something, he isn't Arkle and he isn't Cato Star. But he is, he is the best after them. But let him go and get into those echelons and give me 3-1 the field or 5-2 the field. So yeah, I'd be a lay. Dermo.
I was going to be a lead, but you know what? I'll join you as well on the lay. I'm very much kind of obviously pro Monty Star. I heard Henry de Bromhead talking during the week. Now it made me smile a bit more as well. Now he said basically that old Monty's had another problem, so that he needed the last run as well. Now eventually he does have to run a good race, I suppose, but there's enough runners here that could potentially trouble him. And again, it is a Gold Cup, and horse winning back to back didn't happen for ages until Albin Photo did it. I think Gallopin des Champs was absolutely brilliant last time, but again, enough in the field. In fact, the file was given a strange all right and everything else as well. He was brilliant there. He is brilliant there. But yeah, in a Gold Cup, yeah, you'd have to take on a horse that short, because it just, I don't know. This happens at Cheltenham. A horse goes off this short. They kind of, it's just such a good race, a Gold Cup, and so much can go wrong that, yeah, I know how 100% delay as well, Cass.
Yeah, such a nutritional race. I suppose a bit, Tony, it'll depend on the ground, wouldn't you? What kind of a view you'd have on this race and Gallopin des Champs.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I went through this race properly there last week. Weird race. There's no horse younger than 8 in it, which is very unusual for a Gold Cup, that there wouldn't be a horse, an up-and-coming horse like that in it. And also a paucity of 170 horses, bar the favourite. I think if you're laying Gallopin des Champs, you've got one horse running for you, I'd say honestly, in Banbridge, and what else is running for you is Father Time and something mad happening. I don't know who else is running for you. Start predicting some of these other horses getting in the mix. Yeah, you can predict the likes of Monty Star and Corbett's Cross maybe running into places and stuff like that. But I think Banbridge is probably the only one you really run for. And I do think actually he's a massive runner on good or good soft. Actually, I think ability wise, that just we haven't seen the ceiling of him yet. And I think he's a big bit. Just trying to think, guys, what do you think of Corbett's Cross there the weekend? Was there a sign of a pulse there, or what did you reckon?
Two different views here. Dermo, I'll give the positive. I thought he jumped out to his left, which wouldn't have suited him. Trip wouldn't have suited him, but he stayed on really well. Hammered the rest of them. I thought really good prep if they were just viewing to blow the cobwebs off. I know they backed him, but Pictoria around Ascot is, jeez, it takes some horse to beat him right-handed now, 2-5 around Ascot. I thought it was a lovely run, but for him, he'd want soft ground, and I think Gallopin, would probably turn him over on soft ground. I've no problem with his jumping. Everyone gives out, but he gets a little high sometimes, and he jumps a little left. But he was very good last year in the National Chase. Dermo, you didn't like it at all.
I watched it back yesterday, Cass, and I was less negative than I was when I first watched it. I thought it was a prep run. The market would unsettle me a little bit that he was backed like he was very much that wasn't a prep run, let's say. But I think Mark Walsh was smart enough around 3 out when he realised Pictoria was travelling, and I also think my view of Corbett's Cross's jumping was harsh straight after the race now, because you're comparing his jumping with Pictoria, who was brilliant at that trip, jumping at that pace. Do you know what I mean? And Pictoria is such a good jumper that he even made Banbridge look poor jumping before at Kempton when Banbridge beat him. But he jumped Banbridge into the floor that day, but Banbridge was just good enough to kind of peg him back again. So I think while I was harsh on Corbett's Cross, post-race, watched it back, will be a little bit more positive. I'm still just, I'm just not convincing him. I still think the jumping, he's just a little bit slow. And in a Gold Cup, the reason why Banbridge really is the kind of threat is that you need the pace of a 2-miler to nearly lie up for the first mile. And I would have a concern about Corbett's Cross finding himself behind the bridle an awful lot as he's just kind of jumping that little bit slow. But if they can knock that out of him, he'd have a chance of placing, definitely. But I was more negative than I should have been, but still, he wouldn't be a bet for me anyway, no.
Horses like him can win Gold Cups. Like Synchronized did it, kind of jumping but stay, and Lord Windermere did it as well. So
Santini, he almost did it.
Yeah, it's still a Gold Cup. Declan Carroll, we were chatting amongst ourselves. We kind of know what we all think. We don't know what you think about the Gold Cup picture. So you can take as long as you want now. Give us your thoughts on the great race.
Like Synchronized wasn't running against the likes of Galloping Deschamps, like, and I think he's the greatest we've ever seen. And what's great about him is, like, he turns up every time. Him and Fast or Slow go at it. He gets beaten. He turns up again. He's been an absolute pleasure to follow. Like you said, his jumping hasn't always been great, but apart from that one time that he did jump the fence at Cheltenham in the Turners or whatever it was called, then, like, he came down soft and, like, I don't know what you'd call it, but he's scaring a lot of them off. And I do agree with Tony that Banbridge he's the fly in the ointment here. And the beautiful thing about the Gold Cup is, until you go into the unknown, you don't know how good your horse is. That's why it's the greatest race in the world. You're going a yard faster than you've ever gone before, 3 times up the Cheltenham Hill, and you go into the unknown and you prove you're either better than we've ever known before, or you just don't get the trip. So, like, there's so much potential with Banbridge, but I just think Galloping Deschamps is, like, could I back a horse in a 3 mile plus chase at that price? No. But am I brave enough to lay him? No. I'll leave him. I'll take great pleasure in watching him win his Tour Gold Cup without my money.
Yeah, and just him and Town, and they're a joy to watch. I'll actually lay him and still enjoy watching. I couldn't care if I win or lose.
Yeah, same.
Just imagine you in the pub now, dancing on the bar, shouting and roaring, getting Galloping Deschamps speak like the man that shot Bambi or something like that. Yeah,
taking £100 bets off drunks in the bar, Tony. That's what he'd be doing.
Look, come here. The likes of us are so used to losing bets every day of the week. I can still take joy in laying Galloping Deschamps, watching the Witcher. It's just another last bet, you know. I can still enjoy the race. I can remove.
I know.
Mare's Chase, Dino Blue, Tony. This race has started to look very strong at the moment. An awful lot of question marks. You've ground, you've what the field will be, what's Only by Night going to do. So it's a tricky race now at this point, I would have thought.
Yeah, I have an opinion on this now. I know this is hard to believe because I have no opinion on anything else here tonight. I did have a look at this there this morning. Right, I have to be honest. I think most of the non-runner no-bet prices are absolutely toxic. Terrible race for bets at the moment. I'd be advising people to sit tight, but I think there are the odd bits and pieces there where you can find something of interest there. And the one I've come down on here is Braid's Hill. I think the market has reacted, and sensibly, to the possibility of bioluminescence getting soft ground here in the last few weeks, and shortened up away. And that's fair enough. Like, if you're on it, nice prices there, absolutely fantastic. But if the ground comes up good to soft, anything like that, she's not running, and you're taking out 25% of the market. And I think the stablemate is quite interesting here. And I think the other one, because I know we're talking here about favourites, I think Dino Blue also wants soft ground. Like, I'll be putting that down as the reason she come back to form at Naas. I'd also be iffy with her at the trip. I'm not saying she doesn't get it at all, but she's very effective at 2 miles. She has won an open grade 1 at 2 miles. She has come second to an inform El Fabiolo at 2 miles, stuff like that. She placed the Grand Annual. Like, you have to be really sharp to do that. So I would be a little bit iffy at her at the trip. So I think both of those, if you're getting good ground on the day, one of them may not run, and another one's chance is greatly inhibited by it. Allegory Devassi, yeah, she's put 2 good runs together now, but that has been an infrequent thing now in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Not sure Cheltenham is on track. Like, again, soft ground, Limerick Place probably needs that, and she does look to be going a bit sour at the moment, and that always has been lurking under the surface with her with her head carriage and the way she flashed her tail and stuff like that, and we've kind of covered Only by Night. Now, the one mare in the field that will be suitably good ground is Braid's Hill. She was on an absolute heater now last season. What she win 4 on the hop. They were all kind of very strongly run races. The one at Fairyhouse certainly was the mare's handicap, but she won that on the top weight. And then she went to Huntingdon, race she got beaten in this season. That was well run. And the race in Punchestown, where Allegory Devassi went off kind of with a mad gallop, was strongly run. Now, she met a setback there early in the autumn, has come back in late, I presume. Needed her first run back, I would say. And then maybe the last day you can argue is a bit disappointing. But like the first run back this season, it was a slowly run race in Huntingdon. She travelled really well. She had a chunky penalty. It's not going to be quite as bad in this race. And I'm kind of expecting her to improve as she did kind of through all of last season. So there's 25 to 1 out of the Betfred are 25 to 1, which is the pick of the prices there, non-runner no bet. I think her non-runner no bet versus her anti-post bet price there should be a greater gap between the two of them because she's very ground dependent, and they've taken her out of lesser races than this because of the ground. So I just think that they won't be taking any chance. It's a bit of an either or with her and Bioluminescence. So I backed her today at 20s. And the other thing I did with her, because the races are on the same card, the same day, same track, I put her in each way double with Banbridge. Because the two of them are just very ground contingent. There's a fair chance neither of them turn up. But if they do, I think they kind of have to be shorter than the current price because the ground has come for them and it's gone against some of the rivals. So it's a lay of Dino Blue, and I'd be back in Brideshead.
Yeah, she's a big price for a mare raised in the 150s. And Tony, we weren't going to do this week, but after you're talking about it, there could be a bit of money for her. Do you want to include her in our anti-post sheet? You're quite strong on her.
Yeah, I will put her in there in the anti-post sheet, yeah, because I have backed her on that. Look, there's one or two other dangers. I'd like to see what Spindleberry does at the weekend. She missed the target at Torless because of fast ground in January, and now the race moves. It's getting a little bit tight to the race. But I would kind of be interested in her as well, and Telepathique herself. But I think at the prices, Brideshead does have the quality back form, and just with the ground angle and the non-run no bet, I think she's a play.
Yeah, makes me very worried about my only by night bet, but sure, we're used to losing them as well. Deck, is it a race you have any view on?
I don't have a massive opinion. I don't think it's as good as previous renewals. And just on Dino Blue, Tony's mentioned, does she stay or not? Andy actually has a theory on the Dr. Dino's that they're all 2 milers. All the geldings are 2 milers. But he believes the mares stay very, very well. You've Jade de Grugy got the trip last year. Like, Dino Blue did not stay last year. And just looking through the field, look, Bride's Hill is a horse I've been very, very fond of, but I don't think she puts it together all the time. And I think Dino Blue could just fall in here. And yeah, look, I hope to not need to have a bet in this race now by the time it comes to Friday, but I'll be a backer now for the show tonight.
Yeah, very interesting. That thing you say about the Dr. Dinos, that was why Garota Loxton decided to buy Jean Pan and run him at 2 miles over Christmas in the beginner's chase. So interesting, something to watch. We'll come back to you, Dick, just as we're wrapping up to see, if you have one you want to highlight for Cheltenham. If not, don't worry, you can recap your one for Punchestown. But Dermo, the mare's chase, just while we're ticking the boxes and finishing off, what do you think there?
I would be leaving her, yeah. No, it's great. You can move on there, yeah.
Okay, and Dermo, we're coming to the point where we wrap up now, and we talk about, now it was going to be a fourfold of Copeck, De Boer, Majborough. The Yellow Clay is now in there, and Solness. Do we want really? I think the new line was nearly kind of, we were forcing that in to try and get forward, aren't we? So we want to put him back out. I think I'll reverse my position on him.
I'd reverse my position there for Yellow Clay. Yeah.
So our fourfold,
absolute turncoats we are. Yeah.
Normally I put money on for charity or for our own pockets, whichever. But I refuse to do so this year because we're only doing it half-hearted. So Dermo, you're taking care of that.
Send me a screenshot. I'll do it.
Yeah. So I think it pays 106 to 1. The Yellow Clay and the Almer Bartlett. Solness in the Queen Mother Champion Chase, the Arca Majborough, and the Supreme Copeck. But look, gamble responsibly. Everyone, do your own thing, enjoy yourself. It was a bit of crack doing the podcast. Very professional here. We're all rolling on to 59 minutes. This is called the Race Hour, Declan Carroll. So you have 1 minute to give us one for Cheltenham and remind us of your one at Punchestown Thursday.
Oh, look, I suppose I feel like I'm cheating on Captain Guinness a bit, but I'm very, very keen on Solness now from what we've seen. Stays the 2 mile one, goes a gallop the all can't go with. So I'll be backing Solness and the Queen Mother. But there's lots of racing before then. We go back to the 425 at Punches Down on Thursday. It was Misty Milan, third time in a handicap, fitness on our side now. I reckon she's a good thing.
But fair play, Deck, and great to have you on, and thanks for coming on.
Really great, Deck,
yeah.
Cheers,
Declan
lads.
Carroll,
Really appreciate the invite, and yeah, I had a good time. Thanks.
And remind everyone, Deck, the name of the podcast.
Oh, it's Take a Pull or Tap, and we preview full Irish cards, whether it's an auction maiden, a maiden hunt or chase, not the 95s or not 100s, wherever they are now. We go through them all, try find a few winners, but basically, promoting the game on this island and explaining what some of our races are about and how it works, and just we get a bit of crack out of it.
Well, fair play, Deck, and honestly, brilliant to have you on. Thank you, Declan Carroll. Thank you, Tony Keenan. Thank you, Diarmuid, Nolan. Thank you to our sponsors, Gambling.com and Betfred. And we will see you now over the next couple of weeks for our big Cheltenham preview.
Relentless, remorseless, and pounding Cheltenham Star into submission.